friends, welcome to Teensy Vintage. This is Teresa. I have another video for you today featuring a art journal spread. And today we're using a brand new stencil for me from Studio Light. This is an Art by Marlene stencil. I've had my eye on this one for a while, and I finally treated myself for my birthday last week. This one is, oh boy, it has a long multiple letter and number thing, but it's called Mask 44. And it's just a cool design, and I'm using the smooshing technique again because I had a great time using it last video. And so I'm just using some Tim Holtz Distress inks, the minis, to apply ink to the stencil, put a spritz of water on it, and then smoosh it on my page. And I'm getting some cool results here. This is a very happy, festive firework kind of look. And so I'm just going to go in with 4 colors. We're using 2 greens, a blue, and a red today. And I am putting the stencil down and then using a paper towel between the stencil and my hand to make sure I use the right amount of pressure. Just some gentle pressure to make sure that all of the stencil sticks to the page for a minute so that you get a good impression. And then it just takes another spritz of water to clean off the stencil and use it for your next color. This is a really easy technique. It's a lot of fun. There's some good experimentation here. And I love doing it. So we're just doing another one today. You can get 2 impressions off of 1 application of color. The second one is going to be lighter, obviously. So just be aware. Your first one will be pretty good. The second one will be a little more spotty, but that's okay. I like the contrast between the really full print and then the more scattered abstract style. And it just puts a little color in there, and you can always go back with a second, stencil full of ink. And this is coming together really nicely. I'm drying this ink so that it sets and doesn't run. Didn't really want to do a whole lot of blending necessarily because, well, for one thing, I'm using reds and greens, and those tend to make mud if you're mixing them together since they're on the opposite side of the color wheel. The blues and greens, they look very pretty next to each other. And then the light green, I think this is Twisted Citron. It's a great green. This is the color I picked for the pop. And now I'm just going in with a brush and some water with the same inks to kind of fill in all of the white spaces. Just randomly painting. The nice thing about this is since the stenciled ink was dry already, now that I'm adding more color on top, you can still see the stencil. It may be hard to see on the video. I apologize. There are pictures at the end of the video with details. But it's nice because it gives you this effect of tone on tone. So you'll have the blue stencil, for example, that you smushed, and then you'll have your blue ink on top. And I just thought that looked pretty cool. Now I'm going in with some good old-fashioned, what are they called? They're the little sponges on the stampers, the daubers. And I'm using the same 4 colors to just go in and add another layer of color. And this is just a third technique. This is just dry ink, and I'm going over the smushed stencil. And this just kind of gives it a delicate cloud-like look. So this is just a way to get a different texture or look on your page. So you've got your watercolor look, you've got your sponged look, and you've got the smooshed look. So I've done 3 techniques with the 4 colors, and it's resulted in a really bright and happy page. And I'm just making sure that I've, covered up all my white spots. We're not going to have any white spots today. It's all color. I'm also just gently going around the edge of the page here with the salty ocean blue color. I just like to do that on my pages. I don't know. To me, the edge of a page is just as good a place for color as anything else on the page. Okay, now I'm going to audition a few vintage photos. I have a whole stack of these things. And I just felt like this would be a nice background for something black and white today. Just a good contrast between a vintage picture and all this wild color. And I finally decided on the little girl. She just looks so happy. I'm also going to use a couple of Tim Holtz's die cuts. These are a floral set, and I am going blank. Shoot, what's the name of these? Hold on a sec. I've got it here in my hand. Botanical. These are layers from Ideology. And looks like these came out in 2017. I don't know if you can still get them, but they're basically just floral die cuts on a nice heavy cardstock. I thought about using this gauge image, but eventually I decided, nah, it's not really going to work. It was too much. But don't worry, I fuss around with it some more. I decided to go ahead and put a little of the blue salty ocean color on this die cut just because it was very gray and I wanted it to stand out from the photo, but also not be too loud because the background is really loud. In this case, I'm leaving the background really loud and keeping my focal point kind of chill, just for some nice contrast. Now I'm digging through my box of bits to find something. I was really hoping to find some kind of little die cut or something that I had to maybe add some more interest to this page. I was kind of hoping to find something in a dark color, and I spent, a few minutes auditioning different pieces. Frankly, none of these really work, but I tried. I even flipped it over. I was like, would white work? And, this is just part of the process, seeing if something will work. And if it doesn't, that's okay. You know, I decide, none of this is really working for me. So we're going to put it all back in the bin. I also decide, the gauge isn't really working either. And the border around this photo just was very white and kind of took up a lot of real estate that I didn't want it to. So I trimmed that off, and then I gently went around the edges with a little bit of the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo, which is a nice brown. And that just kind of ties it together with that piece of paper behind it. And then I decide, yeah, little gauge needs to go. And I'm going to zhuzh the edges of the die cuts as well, just so they're not a stark white. When they're really white, they just look like they're unfinished. So using any color can be really a nice, helpful way to do it. I'm going to use a glue stick to stick down this piece of ephemera. It's just a little pad of papers I got. Don't remember. But they're pretty easy to find online. Going to use some art glitter clear adhesive to put down the photograph. Make sure that stays, and use it again to glue down the two floral die cuts. Make sure it stays. And we're going to put the pink and yellow die cut down right on top of it. And I really liked how this turned out, because I've got some nice neutral colors and then a big pop of color on top to really tie in all of the color that's going on this page. I also wanted to add a little more detailing, so I've got out the Ranger Archival ink in jet black, and a Tim Holtz stencil. It's just some grungy dots. And I'm just kind of doing it as one might do a little bit of mark making. And this is just to add some visual interest and kind of break up these fields of color. Oh, and that is where my camera fell just a little bit. Fortunately, you could still see what I'm doing. I did not notice this until after I finished filming. My apologies. I decided to go in with a green Posca Paint Pen and add some of my little X's to the page. Gonna add the date and sign it, and then I remembered, oh yeah, I really ought to put a sentiment down. So I grabbed a pad of sentiments. I think these are the snarky ones from Tim Holtz. And I picked out one about my memory. Just at that stage now where I'm walking into a room and I don't remember why I walked in there. It's good times. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next time.